Down 2 starters and a key reserve, the Warriors pull out a huge win over the Pelicans, 124-106. Welcome to Dove Talk Live, folks, presented by Mancini Sleep World. I'm Zena, Keita, this is Dalton Johnson, and we are both very excited to talk about this big win. Now, Dalton, Warriors didn't have Steph Curry, thanks to a left ankle sprain. They didn't have D'Anthony Melton and Andrew Wiggins, thanks to back sprains. And yet, they were still able to pull out the win. There was a lot of questions as to how they were going to be able to do this. And if you looked at the first quarter, it was validated that there would be questions. What was going wrong with them early before they took the positive turn?
Yeah, look, it was a tough starting lineup that we saw, a new group that Steve Kerr trotted out there, and then the shots weren't falling. They had no real flow, no real rhythm to start the game. But this game, to me, was all about quantity meeting quality. And what I mean by that is, look, the quantity of the Warriors' depth was never in question these first 3 games. But the biggest test tonight was, what is the quality of this depth? When you're down Steph Curry, you're down Andrew Wiggins, you're down D'Anthony Melton, and that is what really stepped up. To see Lindy Waters have the game that he had, to see Jonathan Kuminga get benched and then have a great finish to the game, a great second half to the game. Moses Moody step up. Brandin Podziemski was great in Steph Curry's place. So again, quantity met quality tonight, absolutely. And that is what really brought out the last 3 quarters of the game, where the Warriors outscored the Pelicans by 35 points.
Absolutely. Usually the conversation is a tale of 2 halves, but it was really a tale of 1 quarter versus the last 3. And I'm so happy that you brought up Brandin Podziemski, because one of the things that was definitely missing from this team with Steph Curry out and D'Anthony Melton was ball handling, someone to be able to set the floor and set the pace for this team. And I think Podziemski did an amazing job. Looking at the stat sheet here, ended up 8 of 18 from the floor, particularly added 5 assists, ended up with 19 points, plus minus of 17 positive. When you think about what Podziemski added to this team tonight, what was the biggest impact?
It wasn't just the scoring, it wasn't just the plus minus, it wasn't just the assist. It's the fact that he played over 30 minutes, and with those assists, 0 turnovers.
Ooh, that was huge.
Yeah, look, Brandin likes to look at him on the floor here, the hustle plays. That is a Brandin Podziemski sequence that if I've ever seen one.
Right.
Hands up on the floor, finding GP for the dunk like that. That's what he brings every single night, and that's what made Steve Kerr trust him so much as a 20-year-old rookie last year, in knowing that no matter if he does find a shot like he did tonight, or if he doesn't have it, he's still going to impact the game. Right. So Brandin Podziemski was able to still have the Warriors enjoy their identity of playing fast, keeping the pace going, finding the 3-point shots, but playing under control, like we talked about earlier, with that controlled chaos, with that controlled aggression that you needed out of a Brandin Podziemski in the point guard position.
Absolutely. Again, 0 turnovers. Cannot emphasize
Huge.
that enough, particularly considering that was a focal point after the last game against the Clippers. Now, before the game started, Steve Kerr was asked about Brandin Podziemski being also an addition to the offense, and this is what he was able to provide. What I loved, it wasn't just threes. He was going in and penetrating. How was Brandin able to find some of his shots tonight from your perspective?
Well, Brandin knows how to get to the rim so well, and he said early on when the Warriors were struggling, he was able to get to the rim, and then Terry Stotts talked to him on the bench and basically said, hey, you're getting to the rim, now let's make the right play. Now let's find the other guys. And then you saw some of that Brandin Podziemski footwork that he showed off the first few games of the season. I mean, when we were in Utah, he went right hand twice with the footwork as a lefty, and he showcased that again tonight. So the 3-pointer was eventually going to fall, and it did tonight with 3 of those. But he got to his spots, and then he found his teammates, and then he found his spots as well too. So Brandin Podziemski was under control, was still having his speed that he loves to play with. So again, just a quintessential Brandin Podziemski game tonight. Absolutely. Out of the young point guard for the Warriors.
Absolutely. I remember Steph trying to figure out how he did that move after the Utah game. Now, there was a marked difference between the first quarter and that second quarter. And you talked a little bit about the fact that when they started out, there were some new lineups that they weren't used to, but there was one particular player that the Warriors fans may not have been used to, and that was Lindy Waters III coming in and really offering a surge for this team. Explain to me, lay it out. How did that second quarter kind of envelop, like just open up?
Well, I mean, the Warriors only had 2 assists in the entire first quarter, and that is not Warriors basketball. We know that. And then Lindy Waters, once he got his opportunities, that man played like he was purified on the lengths of Minnetonka.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on fire once he started going. And the great thing about Lindy Waters is we're going to see him getting going as far as offensively, but right here, taking the charge, it's all the small things that he did too. Putting his body on the line, he wound up with a career-high 9 rebounds as well. So yeah, Lindy Waters is known for his three-point shot, but look at this. In transition, still, bang, hits
and that
the
was back-to-back. He hit that charge, and then he got that steal, goes and gets the 3. Unbelievable.
This is someone that Steve Kerr, when we were asked with the previous game, before the Clippers game, what do you think about Lindy Waters? He said, I could start him. I'm comfortable with that.
And
yeah, he's not a singular player. I mean, I didn't know he had this in him. Those hops, getting up, doing a little bit of a JK impression. What is that?
And what'd you say after the game?
This is Lindy Waters' team right now. That's what I'm
it.
talking about. Where, again, from Hawaii to the preseason to the start of the season, he has been one of the most consistent players on the entire team. And look at this quote. I'm telling you, Warriors fans are hyped up about this. I got a strap on me. I just wake up and I can shoot it, no matter if I'm playing or not.
Let him know,
That is from
Lindy.
the words of Lindy Waters. That's the words of a confident player.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not the words of someone who's a 13th, 14th man just going, oh, I'm happy for my opportunity. No, that is the words of someone going, hey, I know I can play this game. I've done my time in the G League. I've developed in Oklahoma City, which is a great team for development, a great franchise for development. And Mike Dunleavy went out and found an absolute gem in Lindy Waters at the draft.
It was just so beautiful, almost like storybook-like. That last game, after the game, when Steve Kerr was asked, who are you going to play, who are you going to look to when you don't have Stephen Curry out there, what's going to happen? He said there's going to be other people that we can play, and he mentioned directly Lindy Waters III being someone that he could start tomorrow. He could start tomorrow. So now my question is, after this performance, could he start tomorrow?
He started the second half. I mean, the starting lineup, they only played the first 4 minutes and 50 seconds together. They did not play together. That group, that 5, the rest of the way. Lindy Waters came out for Buddy Hield, started for him in the second half. And then Buddy kind of, again, he felt really comfortable off the bench these first few games. He starts, slow start, 1 of 5 from 3 in the first half. And then also in the second half, bang, 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 right? And that's after Lindy Waters getting it going too. So it seems like everyone else, when they get going, that's when then a Buddy Hield can go, you forget about me, you know? So, hey, I would not be surprised at all if a Lindy Waters or a Moses Moody, like he did, started again tomorrow night against the Pelicans. Why not? That group with Lindy Waters played phenomenally tonight. That was a fun group of 5 players to watch on the floor for the Warriors.
Fun is I love that word. It was just so much energy out there. Also, we're gonna have to get you to work on your Mike Breen impersonation. The bang, 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 bang. We gotta get
just
it.
Two bangs, just 2 bangs.
More enunciation, a little bit more oomph. But you talked about someone that we're definitely gonna talk about on the other side of this break, Buddy, as GPT calls him Buddy Love, Buddy Hield, as well as Jonathan Kuminga, who you sat down with alongside Monty Poole. Guys, definitely check out this Dubs Talk pod with Jonathan Kuminga. Talked a little bit about his development over the summer, what he aspires to do within the All-Star, within the defensive All-NBA teams. Lots of good gems out of Jonathan Kuminga, available now online at NBCSportsBayArea.com. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. Dubs Talk Live is just getting heated up, just like right after the first quarter tonight. We got to talk about JK coming off the bench and letting people know. Get up, young man, get up.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for our Black Friday sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
on the other end?
Yeah, we're on
Okay.
YouTube.
All right. Folks, what's up, YouTube? We're going to talk about JK on the other side. That was a mistake on my end. I thought we were going to break after that. Dubs Talk Live, good old live stuff happening. All right. This game was so much fun. So much fun. I got to get my YouTube folks up, but Dalton, you've seen this team already have to deal with some kind of adjustments. This is a team that every year, it seems, they have to deal with adjustments. There's been ups and downs since last year, since the year before. This felt very calming.
Yes.
Right?
No, it's a great way to say it, honestly. Because look, whenever Steph Curry goes down, you have to hold your breath, right? That the margin for error just completely shrinks, and you're going already.
Yeah.
4 games into the season already we have to deal with this, and for them to come out and have that slow start, where again probably the entire building is getting hushed, and for them to then go on, be down 20 points, and win the way that they won tonight.
Absolutely.
That is a huge fresh of breath air, honestly, tonight.
Yeah.
It really was, yeah.
I'm sure Steve Kerr feels good about that. I'm sure the vets feel good about that. I'm sure Steph Curry feels good about, not being able to be out there on
He was hyped on the bench.
But he was hyped.
I was like, hey, watch the ankle, watch the ankle. But that man was hyped up on the bench. Yeah.
Don't do too much. It was. All right, folks, welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Dalton and I are just breaking down this unbelievable win from the Warriors, down big-time players. It was when the reserves stepped up, saluted their vets, and said, we got this. I got to talk about particularly Jonathan Kuminga. We showed a few of the highlights right before the break, but he coming off the bench tonight was surreal. You saw him really focus in on being able to take his defender, being able to cut through, be patient as a playmaker. What did you like most about his game tonight, Dalton?
Yeah, of course. His game started off a little bit slow, and everyone's freaking out headline-wise about him being benched tonight. I want to make one thing clear. I don't think that this is a permanent or long-term benching by any means. This was a basketball decision. Look, Steve Kerr losing Steph Curry, losing Andrew Wiggins, did not want to then have the big man of Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, and Trace Jackson Davis all together without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins. Brandin Podziemski, before this game, his shot wasn't falling that great, so you want to really find spacing. You bring in Moses Moody, you bring in Buddy Hield. But Jonathan Kuminga, the way that I thought the game, after kind of maybe forcing the issue a little bit, his first time off the bench about 5-6 minutes into the game, that's when all of a sudden, the second quarter on, he found his game. Second quarter, first time he gets into the game, that was the offense you want to see out of JK. 2 dribbles, left hand, boom, right to the basket. That was huge.
Basketball, folks.
Yes, exactly. He had the ball moving. You saw him find Trace Jackson Davis for the lob later on. Huge smile on JK's face after that. So the maturity, the poise that he showed coming in off the bench and understanding, hey, this is my job. It's fine. I don't need to press and really show that I deserve to be in the starting lineup by any means. It might be a 1-game thing. It might be a 2-game thing, so on and so forth. So what? Play your game and let everything else fall into place.
Okay, a lot of what he was doing tonight brought a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces. And you're right, Steve Kerr said after the game, this was a matter of spacing, making sure that they had people out there that could consistently shoot the 3. Jonathan Kuminga had a few tonight, but he hadn't had some in his previous outings. Now, the problem that is coming to a lot of people's minds, how does Jonathan Kuminga find this level of motivation and focus and poise, as you mentioned, when he's not coming off the bench? This is a trend that you've seen from previous seasons where it almost feels like he's playing with the fire under him when he's not starting or when he's been relegated to a bench position. You wonder, how can he continue this level of professionalism and focus when he's coming off the bench or when he's starting?
Well, motivation should never be a question or a factor for Jonathan Kuminga. This is someone who is in his 4th year, 22 years old. Yeah, he won a championship as a rookie, but he has sky-high aspirations and expectations out of himself.
Sure.
He sees himself as a future All-Star. He sees himself as someone who should be on the all-defensive team. So the motivation should always be there. And we know, hey, look, the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga didn't strike a deal, so he would be going into restricted free agency next year. And there can be kind of a balance with that, right? As far as motivation and pressure, as far as pushing yourself versus getting too worried about it and being like, I need to prove myself. No, motivation should always be there, but the mental side is more where I get a little bit concerned, a little bit worried as far as, okay, you didn't get to that deal, and you want to be this big guy, this big name. How do you play under control with still these question marks both within the organization and just with your overall game?
Yeah.
So motivation-wise, I think he has every bit to be motivated. It's now about answering the motivation and checking every box that the Warriors go, now we have to reward you. There's no more questions about it. So I think for him, it's always just kind of striking the balance with everything because, again, the potential is there. Now it's all about the production and stacking those days and the consistency coming within for Jonathan Kuminga.
Absolutely. All about making it hard for them to deny you. When I think about that particular statement, it's Brandin Podziemski. Making it hard for them to deny you. Brandin Podziemski plays for every single one of his minutes, and he's at the podium right now. I'm very curious what he had to say about tonight's game.
With the mask, it's been a little bit tough getting your shot going. How good did it feel to get 3 of those 3-pointers falling?
Yeah, I don't think it's more so my shot that it affects. I think it's decisions around the rim that affects, just because when I look up, just with my eyes, I see the mask, but if I have to look my head up, I can see clearly. So I think that's the biggest part, but just letting it fly. Obviously, Steph's not here, and he shoots a lot of threes, so, making up for that. Just wanted to be aggressive coming out the gates, and I think I did pretty good with that.
And obviously, you guys' depth has been talked about this entire season. To see someone like Lindy Waters get an opportunity and answer the call tonight, what'd that mean to you?
Yeah, I see the work he puts in on a daily. Even after Steve kind of told him that he wouldn't be in the rotation to start the year, he's still the same Lindy, both on and off the floor. And so he's been working for it. He's been in the G League. He's been with OKC, obviously, with the big team, and he just knows what it means to be a pro. And you guys just saw what he's put into the game, flourish tonight.
When you have lineups like that have you or Lindy and Buddy with just so much shooting, how tough is that for a defense to contend with?
Yeah, it's tough for them. It makes it easy for me, Draymond, Kyle. It just makes it easier for us to play out there. But it's hard. You got a lot of guys running around, so it creates space. So I think it was a good combination Steve put out there, and I think we'll probably see more of it tomorrow.
And then with you just being aggressive but also taking care of the ball, you had 33 minutes, no turnovers. What's the key to that? Yeah,
I think knowing that we didn't have Steph and D'Anthony, 2 other ball handlers, I pride myself on being a good, solid point guard and not turning the ball over. And so that was another thing, was come out aggressive, but be aggressive where I'm not turning the ball over. And, 0 turnovers, that's a good start, and hopefully we can do it tomorrow.
Expanding on that a little bit more, you guys had 2 assists in the first quarter, 34 over the next 3, and just 8 turnovers in the entire game. But, what was the difference, especially when it just comes to sharing the ball and getting that offensive flow between the first quarter and then the rest of the game?
Yeah, I think we were just, in the first quarter, we were just trying to take the first kind of semi-good shot. And that's partially on me. I got to the paint quite a bit in the first quarter, but, took some tough shots. But then, once I kind of seen that, talked to Terry on the bench, and he's just like, you're really good at getting to the paint. Now let's make the right play. And I think for the most part I did that, and that kind of just trickled down the domino effect, and we just continued on.
When you're playing alongside Steph and Clay, and you hear so many guys talk about when a teammate gets on a heater when you're shooting, it's just like there's nothing like it. Watching Buddy tonight, especially in that second half and that fourth quarter, what is it like to watch him get going like that? Yeah,
you want to be amazed, but you see, what he puts into the game. Obviously, you guys seen that from Steph quite a bit in the recent years. But it's just impact he brings, off the floor, and the work he puts in. The game's just rewarding him. Even last night, we were here together at 11 o'clock shooting, me and Buddy. So, he's a guy that loves the game and, does it because he loves the game. And now it's just the game kind of giving back to him and rewarding him.
Ooh, does it because he loves the game, and now the game's giving back to him. Ooh, the youngins with the sayings. I love it. I love it. Now, one other thing I love, ball movement. love when the ball doesn't stick to people's hands. And tonight, that thing was flying across the court. Young guys were getting the ball to people in the right spots as well as on time. And that is what you love to see. What'd you make of the ball movement, Dalton?
I mean, we just talked about it a little bit ago. 2 assists in the first quarter. This team winds up with 34 assists in the win. That's Warriors basketball. 34 assists is Warriors basketball. And on top of that, only 8 turnovers. One game after turning the ball over 21 times. The Pelicans are a team that were forcing nearly 19 turnovers per game through their first 3 games, averaging 12 steals per game.
Wow.
They only had a handful of steals this entire night because it was 0.5 ball movement as far as what Steve Kerr always talks about, right? So it was going from looking for a good shot early on to finding the great shot.
Absolutely.
And that's where you saw the efficiency really kind of coming into play for the Warriors.
The unselfishness was surreal. One thing I do want to call out, top assist givers, Trace Jackson Davis, post player with some assists right here, 5. Brandin Podziemski with 5. Also, Kyle Anderson couldn't hit a shot. Literally 0 for 9 for the night, but kept finding his teammates as they were cutting to the basket, 4 assists. And then Lindy Waters III, also 4 assists. Now, who was a recipient of some of those assists? Buddy Hield. Man, can that boy put it through the basket? And he's a grown man, so let me excuse myself. But he was doing some things different tonight. But we've seen this. But what was different was that first quarter. 1 of 4 from 3. Ends up on the night 7 of 11. How did he find his shot, Dalton?
I mean, look, this is what Buddy Hield can do, and this is what you're going to see is even when he has a slow start and what you're thinking is going to be an off night, 1 of 5 in the first half from 3, he is a perfect 6 of 6 in the second half from 3. Absolutely lit it up in the second half, especially that fourth quarter where, yeah, look, if the third quarter was great, but if he gets off, if he starts not feeling it as much in the fourth quarter, then maybe the Pelicans start feeling themselves and they start rolling a little bit. But no, Buddy Hield said he is going to be the fire and the extinguisher tonight to make sure that the Pelicans cannot get back in this game. Because you see he's so good on the move. He's so good in transition. He gets his feet under him, and he's a field guy as far as once the ball comes off of his right hand, he knows this thing's going in. And you could just see once he got rolling, there's no stopping him at all.
Absolutely. And I think it's very hard to describe this, but folks, the way he's coming off of these screens and having to square up his shoulders while using the same momentum to go up and direct it at the basket, unbelievable. And he's going off of screens left and right. So if you're a right-handed shooter coming off the left, it's even harder to try and turn in. Excuse me, it's easier this way. Going back off of a right, unreal to try to turn your body back to square it up and then hit the 3. And he's doing that consistently. It's for surreal footwork, it's surreal core work, just unbelievable performance from Buddy Hield. I'm like going back to practice days of trying to get around screen. Let's move on. Buddy Hield did his thing tonight, but I also wanted to just talk about him as well within the starting lineup, thinking about moving him into the starting lineup. How was he able to help kind of get things going, particularly in the second quarter, moving forward throughout the game?
Yeah, look, that lineup was all about spacing, right? And that's why JK went to the bench. You bring in somebody like Buddy Hield who opens things up. And obviously, it was a slow start, but again, Buddy Hield's someone where he knows shoot or shoot. If he's 1 for 5,
facts.
so what?
Yeah.
Keep giving him the ball because once he gets going, and then now it's really hard to stop him. So it's been really cool to hear about how Brandin Podziemski and Buddy Hield were both here at Shea Center, 11:30 at night, getting shots up. The grind doesn't stop
Gym rats.
after their first loss of the season.
Yes.
And they know, let's get it going. You know, they had one off night in the second half. You know, this was the Warriors team that they want to be going forward.
Absolutely. Well, we got to get back. We got to talk about, they got to do this all over again. So on the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit about what JK said about his night tonight, and then also how are the Warriors going to do this one more time? Hopefully a lot more slam-a-jams like that one. We'll be right back. Oh, okay, no JK quote? Okay. All right, folks that are watching online, we're cutting the JK quote, so go check it out on NBC Warriors social media. Definitely a great interview post-game. JK just talking about the professionalism with which he is approaching coming off the bench and understanding it's just a game. So you got to just show up regardless, which I really appreciated that maturity out of him and that poise and just, you know, all the things that you mentioned earlier in the show. All right, I got my comments up, and I'm loving some of these comments. Otis Bird III, shout out to y'all. Catherine Gibson, all of our family. But talking about the gym rats, yes, gym rats on this team. You love to see it. This is how you get your time in the NBA.
Oh, 100%. And this is a team, again, they just really like being around each other.
Yeah.
I think Hawaii, I think at the end of the year, they're going to look back at that trip and go, wow, how invaluable was this? They still talk about it. Being able to have that time together on and off the court, it goes a long way for a team that has a lot of newcomers and a team that has a lot of players playing on a contract year. Because pressure can come into that, and to find any way to ease the pressure and just be together and understand each other as people before players, that goes a long way, as you know, Zena, on the team.
Oh, absolutely. You want to make sure that people feel like they're out there with people they trust. Your comrade. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Let's look ahead to what the Warriors have to face this upcoming week. So, of course, they're back-to-back, got the first back, got the win, going back up against the New Orleans Pelicans this tomorrow on Wednesday, and then going out to the Rockets, the Wizards, the Celtics, and the Cavs. Now, all four of them, tough competition, particularly the Rockets, thinking about the youth on that team. Cavaliers playing phenomenal. They're a big team. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, that's going to cause, you know, some trouble inside. And then the Celtics have been cruising through the East right now. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's all about taking care of business, first and foremost, here at Chase Center against the Pelicans again. The thing I'm going to be looking for, actually, is defense, because, look, Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram combined for 61 points. They are obviously the head of the snake offensively for the Pelicans. But the Warriors, they were called for 20 fouls, and the Pelicans did take 24 free throws.
Okay.
So if there's one thing that we could take away from a really, really good win, it's improving that defense early and often, and then the offense can flow for the Warriors for a back-to-back win for the Warriors at home.
All right, 124-106, big win for the Warriors. First win here at Chase Center. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Zena, Keita, Dalton Johnson, good night. All righty. I love this. Charles Valencia, very deep lineup. Didn't notice that 3 folks out tonight. No Sir 30, no problem.
Right, I mean, I'm sure you noticed that early on when you're down by 20, but the good vibe is then we're rolling right after that. So, but again, if you can go the end of the night, you're going to bed and thinking, oh, wait, they didn't have Steph Curry that night. They didn't have Andrew Wiggins. No DeAnthony Melton. Of course, as a fan, that's a good feeling for these guys to be watching this product, because this is what this team was built on, was 82 games, withstanding injuries, and that's where I go back to the quantity and the quality meeting each other right in the middle, because quantity versus quality, like, that's big time. We can go, hey, we have a 12-man, a 13, a 14-man rotation, but doesn't really matter.
If they're not producing.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like,
right.
I don't care how high you can count if it's not producing on the floor.
Right.
So that is huge. And I just love that they were able to kind of fight adversity like they had to early on, because yeah, going down 20 early on, they could have just been like, all right, it's one of those games. Let's really go to the back of the bench.
Exactly. No one's going to blame us for this if, you know, if we lose this one. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting tomorrow is that there is going to be a similar battle on the Pelican side. Remember, tonight, already no Trey Murphy, the third. Already no DeJounte Murray. Then they also lost Herb Jones at some point throughout the game. So I believe it was also Yves Missy that came off the court at one point. They might be having some losses as well in terms of personnel. So it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these teams bounce back without some of their key starters, key players, or key reserves.
Got to withstand the battles. It'll be a tough one for both of them before they can get a nice rest, and then go on with the rest of the schedule.
At the end of the day, it's the NBA, y'all. No excuses.
Yeah, I heard
no
that.
excuses. All right, folks, we're going to close it down. We're closing down Chase Center literally right now. The lights are turning off around us. But we appreciate you tuning in, as always. Zena, Keita, Dalton Johnson. We'll be back tomorrow for another game against the Pelicans. Make sure you tune in. And check out that podcast with Jonathan Kuminga. Really good stuff by Dalton Johnson and Monty Poole. All right, guys. Good night.